There's one thing that I don't see anyone talking about in the gut health arena, and that is the power of nature to help heal our gut, to grow our microbiome, and help us feel more connected with the world around us. Hi, my name's Josh Wayne, and the reason I'm so passionate about gut health is that 18 years ago, I began my struggle with irritable bowel syndrome. I was taking 4 Imodium a day, dealing with diarrhea, constipation, urgency, running to the bathroom, and painful bloating. I got a life lesson in what it takes to improve your gut microbiome, and it took me far too long. So I'm building these videos so that if you're dealing with irritable bowel syndrome, whether you're recently diagnosed or whether this has been something that's been going on for decades, that you find out this information now. So one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that nature has a deeper lesson to teach us. And the reason why I love recording my videos outside is that it helps me regulate my body. I'm able to bring in the sun, to bring in the warm temperatures that are gracing us on this February day. I'm able to feel the vitamin D in my body, and I'm able to eat from the earth and learn about the plants that are here right now. Now in February and in spring, one of the plants that are prolific, that have amazing healing potential for our gut, for our whole health, even have studies showing that it helps with cancer prevention and killing cancer cells, is wild mustard. Now, wild mustards, here's one that is an invasive, so we picked it. And this one is hairy bittercress. I'm gonna do a close-up here so that you can see it. But one thing that I really love about botany is understanding the connection between plants and families. I like to describe it like this for beginners, is that some families are very safe, like the mustard family. There are, to my knowledge, no plants in the mustard family that are deadly poisonous. Some taste really bad, some you need to cook to make tolerable, and some are delicious. Some are very mild, and some are very spicy and pungent. But what we know is that these mustards contain glucosinolates. They contain sulfur-containing compounds that have that spice, that flavor, sometimes strength or strong spice, and it gives us that sulforaphane compound that has been shown to help both with air pollution, also been shown to be very helpful against preventing cancer from growing and spreading, and we also find that mustards can help us grow our microbiome slowly and intentionally. You also don't need a whole lot. I want to show you another plant here. This one is hairy bittercress. We have a mustard that is not native to Georgia, but has been growing a lot. This one is called Lepidium didymum. I've got a video I'm going to play on the screen right now. But this one is very strong, and it's not for beginners because many plants can look this way, and I encourage you to wait until you see a flower. Like on this plant, we've got a nice little white flower. All mustard plants have flowers with 4 petals, 4 tall stamen and 2 short. This is the only one that doesn't have those 2 short stamens. So the amazing thing about understanding plants, understanding families, and you don't have to do this to help your IBS. You don't have to do this to get out of pain, especially if you work with somebody to help you on that journey. But it is something to learn that there's food and medicine everywhere you look. And the more you know what to look for, the more you realize there are mustards everywhere. So one of the main identifying features on this lesser swinencress, this Lepidium didymum, is that it smells really strongly of mustard. And when you eat this plant here, which you can wash off, coming on a day that, there's been some rain recently, it's been clean, and I'm not eating a massive amount. And I also don't encourage you to eat a ton of this plant if it's your first time. That's why we like to go slowly and intentionally. But what I love about mustards is that there's research that when you eat them, when you chew on them, that we can find these mustard compounds in your nose. The sulforaphane can get into the nose and even into the knee. Before doing knee surgery, they gave people mustard seeds and found that the sulfur compounds, these healthful compounds, made it into their knee. So when I eat this, I truly feel it in my whole body. I feel it in my gut, but it doesn't stimulate my digestion. It doesn't make me go with urgency, but it allows me to connect with the earth and connect with plants that are growing. So I'm going to give this a try. Sometimes in the morning, I'll nibble on a single leaf of this lesser swinencress, Lepidium didymum, and I love the spice and the flavor that comes from this. To know that there's food all around us, and it seems to only like the sunny areas here. We had to walk through 3 parks to find a patch that I know of. But this swinencress here, this hairy bittercress, which is cardamine hirsuta. It means it's a different genus, they're related. This one is very common. You'll see it in all the potted plants. You'll see it coming out of cracks on the side of the road. And this one also is very strong. And so what I love about mustards is that they can pack a huge amount of health, a huge amount of medicinal compounds in a small plant. And you don't need a ton. So that's why we've found that broccoli seeds that are sprouted to make mustard seeds, these are able to help people with air pollution, yes, with also moderating the symptoms experienced by autism spectrum disorder. So children that are going through fits of rage, that are struggling with self-harm behaviors, when they eat mustard seeds, they're actually able to reduce those symptoms. So how amazing. We have something that they've also found when you eat mustard seeds and you sniff diesel fuel, whether you're outside on the road, that the sulforaphane makes it into your nose and protects those cells from cell DNA damage. So these mustards are accessible to everyone. They grow everywhere. We were just in Mexico in San Miguel de Allende, the botanical garden, and everywhere on the ground were another species, Lepidium virginianum, which is the Virginia pepperweed, and it tastes like Dr. Pepper. It's got a nice little spice, and that was prolific. I could forage enough to eat every single day, and they grow all over. They were all over the sidewalks, they were all over the paths, and they're probably in your house as well. So the interesting thing is that we're not connected with nature, right? If you go to medical school, they don't teach you about the wild plants that grow here in Georgia or around the world. They don't teach you generally about mustards, about their uses, because unfortunately there's not enough money behind lesser swine cress. There's no big lepidium advocating for this type of plant, right, to be used in health. And so there are research articles that you can find about each plant, but there's also a lot that's not been studied because there's not a massive industry to do the real high quality evidence studies that we need. Sometimes they take tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars to conduct. So that's one big lesson I want to share. If you're dealing with IBS, understand that this is a holistic condition and that understanding how nature can help us in so many ways, it was vital to my recovery and is vital to a lot of the recoveries that women I'm working with are experiencing. Just getting sun on their bodies, the fresh air. Not everyone needs to forage in order to be healthy, but if you do want to diversify the foods that you're eating and learn more about the plants around you, that's what I love sharing and love teaching. If you're in Atlanta, I teach foraging hikes. I've taught over 1,000 students how to forage for wild plants and wild mushrooms, and as somebody who once restricted his diet to only a few plants, to cutting out mushrooms completely, to feeling like I needed to restrict everything, foraging has allowed me to embrace diversity, to move slowly and understand it's not just whether a plant is edible or not, but many plants or mushrooms need to be processed in certain ways. Some, like chicken of the woods, which tastes delicious or causes really bad upset stomach, needs to be cooked for about 20 to 30 minutes. And I learned this through the foraging communities, and it made me think, what about other plants we get at the store? How should we be cooking our sweet potatoes and our beans? And there are many ways that you can do them to create different experiences for digestion. So I hope that this lesson on wild mustards, and if you're anywhere in the Northern Hemisphere and the leaves are off the trees, go out and learn about the wild mustards near you. You most likely have hairy bittercress growing all over the place. This is one that you can easily get. You can taste the peppery, mustardy taste and start small. This is very unlikely to trigger irritable bowel syndrome symptoms. It's more likely to help you feel a little bit of spice, to feel that connection with the earth around you. And feel free to send me a photo of the plants. If you're a beginner, I do not recommend you just picking up leaves and eating them. Always wait to see the flowers. There are certain plants like buttercups that can look similar by leaf pattern. Those buttercups tend to have yellow flowers, and these mustards here can have yellow, pink, purple, white, but they always have those 4 petals, 4 tall stamen and 2 short. So be safe out there. I want you to understand that there's food everywhere, and most people can't recognize that, but once you do, once you understand that the mustards are here for us, that they're ready to be eaten, but we'll be able to eat more greens, and that's the biggest thing. Working with women and encouraging them to eat more greens, we find that it's hard to even buy enough sometimes at the store, and sometimes they go bad and they're expensive, and when you learn, to have a garden or learn where food comes from, you start to realize you don't need to stockpile greens. They're everywhere, growing in high quantity. So we have a ton of other edible greens here. We have this creeping Charlie, which is a mint, also edible. We have mock strawberry potentilla. These leaves are also non-toxic. I haven't eaten them myself, but there are a variety of plants here and greens that I can see just within about 5 to 10 feet of me that provide diversity, that are actually nourishing to the gut, that you can't find in the stores. So hope you found this helpful. If you're also in spring and wanting to learn about mushrooms and mustards, come connect with us here in Atlanta. I've started the group Atlanta Foraging and Atlanta Mushrooming on Facebook, so you can find more information on that. And if you're working through gut issues, if you're trying to heal your gut, and you want to speed up that process and work with somebody who's been through that themselves, that's dealt with irritable bowel syndrome, that's been able to diversify their diet after eliminating and identifying triggers, then reach out, because I'm happy to support you on that journey. I don't want this to take 5, 10, 15 years like it took me. I think that we'd be able to get results much quicker with a better plan, with more knowledge of the plants, the mushrooms, the practices outside of diet that we really need to do in order to find that calm. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you all have a great day. Mustard tasting, you just had a few bites. Can you feel it yet?
It's a little spicy.
It's a little spicy. It takes a little while, right?
Yeah, but not too bad.
Not too bad?
Very tasty, honestly.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
You can taste it now a little bit? Does it get stronger?
Yeah.
Nice. Let's see how this hairy bittercrest tastes. It's not quite as spicy as the other swine crest, the lipidium, but it's got a nice flavor to it, and they probably have very similar sulfur-containing compounds in them, those glucosinolates. So really cool to have a diversity of plants. We found that you might want to get about 30 different species of plants into your diet on a weekly basis, and I can definitely, resonate with the fact that having a diversity helps me have a more healthy, well-rounded microbiome. So thanks for watching.